citizen, yeah, yeah, kingdom citizen.
Blessings, blessings, and blessings. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin. And I am your host, Dr. David King. I'm doing a little remodeling in the studio today, but it is Think About It Tuesday, and we're about to get ready to have some fun on Think About It Tuesday. I am looking forward to our guest that is coming on with us, and we are looking forward to having a great discussion tonight. We're going to talk about the referendums that's on the ballot. We're going to talk about the debate. So while I'm waiting on one more guest, let me bring one guest on right now. He has now become not only a friend, but a brother, all the way up from the northwest side of Wisconsin, Westby. He is the one and only. He is known from the top of Wisconsin to the bottom as J. Rod. Let's bring on J. Rod.
Quite the introduction there. How we doing, David?
There he is. I am great, sir. How are you?
Good. Did you happen to recap any of the debate?
No, not yet. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to talk about the debate. We're going to talk about the importance of this election. And then when Sarah comes on, we're going to talk about the referendums.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you are the man. I just want you to know that. You are the man, you know. I haven't met someone like you in a... No, that's on the computer. Haven't met someone like you in a long time, and you don't sugarcoat it. You call it for what it is, and that's what I like about you. So
I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and if I say you don't spare feelings, you definitely don't do that. So
No. So I thought it was quite interesting how Janet, I can never pronounce her last name, how she basically said the quiet part out loud as to what she was going to do with the potential redistricting of the lines. I don't know if you caught any of that, David, but she's definitely saying the quiet part out loud. And what kills me is that the Democrats are telling you this, a direct punch to the face, and yet people still go vote for these people. And I don't get it. So
well, you know, I think what I think the biggest problem is. I think people think that whether they're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, when one side or the other claim they're going to do something, it's not going to affect them.
Yeah.
So when we look at certain things, right, and we'll say we want to enlarge school choice, and everybody on one side is saying yes, and the other side, and the people say, wait, no. But they don't realize that if it does, they give them a chance to have a how should I say, better schooling. Okay, something is wrong there. I got to figure out why is that thing. But just when you look at it, right? So she said that she's going to. What was that she talked about? She was going to
basically the redistricting. Yeah, that she was going to make that happen.
And here's the thing, she's saying things from a political standpoint, but not as a Supreme Court justice.
That's
so
just it.
You're right. She's letting you know, I'm not going to be a justice. I'm going to be a political advocate.
That's just
that's the danger. And that's the danger of it. And I think a lot of people is not paying attention to it. We don't need a political advocate or advocate on the Supreme Court judge. We need somebody that's going to defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Wisconsin, and protect the rights of the people. That's what we need in the Supreme Court right now.
Yeah, we shouldn't be bothered by their political opinions, especially when it comes to the justices. And she repeatedly during that debate today said exactly what she was already thinking. And somehow you have, as a justice, you have to keep that divide. You keep your opinions to yourself because that no longer matters. And then she went on to say something, I'm kind of paraphrasing what she had said, but something to the effect that Dan Kelly was dead against abortion. And he said, when it was his turn, of course, when he came back, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about, because my opinion, personal opinion, does not matter. The particular case at hand is what would matter, not my opinion. And I applaud him for saying that, because that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You're not
Right.
supposed to legislate from the bench. And for whatever reason, by God, she is going to try if she does indeed get in there. Another thing that I thought was an interesting takeaway from that debate was the money that was poured in by the Democratic Party. Now, she did say something about that as well, how she would recuse herself if it would have anything to do with the Democratic Party.
Everything has
there was
something
a
to do
court
with
case.
the Democrat. Everything has something to do with the Democrat Party. Everything has something to do with the Republican Party.
Yeah, if it came down to a case where that would be influenced or whatever, however she said that. But I thought it was kind of interesting how she said it, and I thought, holy Christ, girl! So you've already must have made promises to these people, and how do you plan on fulfilling them promises going forward? And without hesitation, in my opinion, she said exactly what she was going to do. And I guess it wasn't only my opinion, because Dan, he made reference to it time and time again, that this is happening.
Right. And you got to look at it. She knows that she would be the deciding factor going
Yes.
in. So that's why she's saying that she'll be able to get it all done, because I'm the deciding factor. I'm the one who tilt the scale one way or the other. So if you tilt it my way, everything that you guys want, I'm going to deliver. And the question is, how are you going to deliver that? And so when we look at the people, I really don't believe people know what's at stake. I can really honestly say they really don't know, because a lot of people don't even know how the Supreme Court operates.
I had posted it, the debate, on my page, and I hope other people take the time to give it a listen. And I think they will be pleasantly surprised as to how Dan spoke during that time. I was kind of shocked, because I've been here, met him, or he's been here. I don't know what I said there, but anyway, in the time that he was here, I was impressed. But he even impressed me even more because he did not hold back.
Right.
He's a very intelligent person. And I honestly, my opinion, he took her right to the woodshed today. That was a whooping like I haven't seen in a while when it come to a good debate.
Say straight to the woodshed, huh?
Yes,
You-
yes, he did.
But you know, I want to say it this way. I don't even think it was a debate. What happened to the good old fashioned debates? Not no, you got 30 seconds to say something behind it. No, let us debate this thing out. Let us uh, present the evidence before the people. Let us argue this thing out and let us get it done. Not no 30 seconds. You cannot come back in 30 seconds. So to me, that wasn't even a debate. That was just informational. I wanted to see, you know why? And one of the reasons why I believe they didn't do it a regular debate is because they know he would have mopped the floor with her.
Well, and he did anyway.
Right. But I'm just saying, a real debate like we used to do in high school. Come on, you ain't had no 30 seconds. Let's fight this thing. I call that the old-fashioned verbal fist fight.
Sure.
Let's go at it. Let's see what you know. Let's see what I know. Don't get mad. Don't throw nothing. Let's just go at it and present our case. And when we present our case, then we can say, okay, you're right, I'm wrong. But when you presenting, it was what was it? It was about the cases that she was a judge over and she ruled over, and she said they only went and got the ones. Well, if you knew you had some bad ones in there, shouldn't you say something before somebody else say something? She like, they only pulled out of all the thousands of cases, they only pulled out. No, they pulled out the ones that showed the real you. That's what
Yes.
they did.
Yeah. And anybody can go and look this stuff up for themselves. If they thought that Dan Kelly was full of shit, which he just says it the way it is. And
Right.
I can appreciate that versus beating around the bush. I don't know. She had some crazy eyes in that debate stage today. I'm not sure what was going on there, but I'd imagine maybe a little bit nervous. I would venture to guess part of the problem. She was not prepared. And if I were her, I would have fired everybody on her team today.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I wonder if she asked them to send her the questions before the debate.
I don't know. Possibly.
Well, because everybody, one of the things that I found out, everybody been asking, can they get the questions? And I don't know why. Why would you want the questions? If you got the answer, you got the answer. You don't need to prepare for a question. So why do you need the questions? So that people can look and say, oh, wow, he gave an intelligent answer. Okay, did he give that intelligent answer before he got the question? Or did he give that intelligent answer before the question wasn't even known?
Well, and in all fairness, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the way that he would respond back to Janet, I thought was interesting all in itself, because she couldn't hold or go toe to toe with him. She just couldn't. And I think maybe that's the reason that she only agreed to the one debate, is because she knew that she would just dig a deeper hole. In an instance like you were talking, David, about having an actual open debate, she would have dug the hole so deep that she would have just quit today. I in my opinion,
that is so.
She did not do a good job at all.
Yes. And now, ladies and gentlemen around the world and those that are in Wisconsin, she is here, better known as Abigail, but to me, she is known as the Constitutional Queen. And maybe, well, let me rephrase that. She is a Constitutional Queen and a mother to be, and hopefully she might give us a song. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Constitution Queen, Sarah.
You have far too high of an expectation of me.
That's what I was thinking when he introduced me. Like, you know me?
I'm not sure if you actually know me.
Yes, I know both of you guys, and so it's an honor to have you both here on the
So, dude,
show.
spill the beans here, Sarah. What's going on?
Oh, well, around Thanksgiving, the Peloquins will be introducing another freedom fighter to the world. So,
Nice.
baby number 6.
Do we know what it is, or
Not yet. No,
Not yet,
I
okay.
won't find out for another 4 months or so. But
okay?
yeah,
Nice. So you are going to find out, though.
I would like to. Yeah, we usually do, because usually before the baby is born, we pick out their name and we get them all right. Kind of give them an introduction to the world in that way. So. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm very picky about my names.
And J-Rod, I have to tell you this, and I've been picking on her since I found out she was pregnant, that one of our shows,
Oh, you. I'm getting right back off, Dr. King.
Okay, I'm not gonna. But J-Rod,
You're gonna take credit for this one, aren't you?
I think I am. Okay, J-Rod, here we gotta let you in on the inside joke. Okay,
Yeah, please do.
It's really an inside joke. We was talking on the show one day, and I was telling men they need to go behind their wives and get a dry hump, right? And after the show, a couple of weeks later, here come number 6. So
is that what happened, Sarah?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's what he said. So I'm just.
Yeah, it was by the Holy Spirit, because apparently
David must have moved you a little bit, huh? I'll be right back.
Oh my God. Oh, you gentlemen. I'm not
so
sure I can
how are
tell
you?
you, gentlemen. I'm doing okay. I have, so my morning sickness is not in the morning. It progresses throughout the day until nighttime, when I tend to be a little bit more nauseous. But fortunately, it's been pretty mild so far. So hoping it stays that way.
Oh wow. So pretty mild.
What? Oh,
You said you pretty mild?
It's pretty mild, the morning sickness, but it's a misnomer, because it's not in the morning. It's usually in the evening. So,
Sarah, did you get an opportunity to watch the debate today?
We actually went to a debate watch party at our county party building. So yeah. Nice. Yeah, and I heard you guys talking earlier about not throwing things and stuff. I wanted to throw a few things. I wanted them to have a knockdown drag out. I was so proud of Daniel Kelly, because he was just.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just boom, boom, boom. I mean, took that woman out, and we had a prayer group just last night we've been meeting on Mondays and praying at our Jackson County Republican Party, and we prayed last night that God would basically just muddle her and make her show the reality of her, and also just kind of tie her tongue up a bit, because and
he did a very good job with it.
Yeah, apparently. Because she was so incoherent, and every time she attacked him, she's bringing up stuff, and it's like, anybody can go look. Now my one thing I will say is she knows that you can disprove this stuff, but I think she's also hedging on the fact that most Wisconsin citizens will not, right? They won't
exactly
go and
right.
look. And that's the sad thing, because it is unfortunately a true thing that most Wisconsin citizens will just listen to the debate and go, oh yeah, she nailed it, and yeah, well, I shouldn't say they'll most of them, but her side will think that she did such a great job. And
I told David, if I was her, I'd fire the whole team.
Oh my gosh,
because I mean they took a.
Starting with her fashion consultant, who thought a green screen outfit was going to be a good idea?
It looked more like a damn tarp that you bought at Ace. with a couple of buttons on it. But
Yeah.
I'm not the fashion police. I could get, but I was thinking it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so funny.
I gotta, those that's watching, can y'all hear us? If you can, say something thing, um, because I don't think we're going through to them.
Oh, really? Let me check on Facebook and see if it's because I got it through YouTube.
Okay, I hear us. I hear us. We good. Can y'all hear
Yeah.
me pretty good, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So before we get started with the referendums
Mhm.
and having fun with that, I wanted to say to the people that I have two people on here with me that bullied me during the election, and
You say bully, I say interrogate, and yeah.
well, Jay, yours was. See, you didn't hide yours. You just came straight out, took the glasses off, and started
I
swinging.
mean, what you see is what you get, Dr. King. You know, you know me.
And J Rod is one of those people, you don't know what in the world he said. He got a poker face that's because he'll look at you, he'll look at somebody else, he'll have a different opinion of them, like they're not a favorite, but he would treat them just like he would treat a person that's a favorite. And you looking at him like, okay, how can you can't read this guy, you
What are you
know?
thinking?
And you know, I know, right? So I'm kind of grateful that you guys was there because
It
you
takes me a
guys
while
didn't
to
just
warm
like
up.
me because of the color of my skin. You, if that's what you call it, okay. So let's get into the referendums because
Okay.
it's kind of tricky the way they
Mhm.
got it worded.
Yeah.
And so this is I was like, okay, we got to do a show. I'm gonna bring J Rod on. I'm gonna bring the Constitutional Queen because we just went over
Yeah.
the session that they tried to use in a referendum. And I'm sitting there like, wow, we just went through this, and now they're coming with it. So come on, Sarah, we're gonna turn it over to you first.
Okay,
And
so
then,
I'm
and
gonna
then
go.
we'll comment as you break it.
Okay. So, oh, you still there?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go through the actual
Yep.
referendum as it stands, and then we'll hopefully be able to go into what how they're trying to reword it. Okay, so it's talking about Article 1, Section 8. Now remember, Article 1 is the Declaration of Rights. So this is talking about rights that everyone is equal under the law, and therefore they have, because they are equal under the law and because they are represented by the Wisconsin State Constitution and by the federal Constitution, their rights given to them by God, acknowledged by, the Almighty God, are protected under the Constitution. So it goes through all of the we've talked about this before, that a lot of them line up directly with the federal Constitution. It was like a copy and paste kind of a thing, but then some of them go into further detail to kind of pull out and explain and clarify what some of these rights mean, and kind of what the legal protections offer. So this one is Section 8, Article 1, Section 8, and it's section or subheading 2. And this is regarding let me see, bail, I believe. Yep. Bail and prosecutions and stuff like that. So it starts out saying all persons before conviction shall be eligible for release under reasonable conditions designed to assure their appearance in court, protect members of the community from serious bodily harm, or prevent the intimidation of witnesses. Monetary conditions of release may be imposed at or after the initial appearance only upon a finding that there is a reasonable basis to believe that the conditions are necessary to assure appearance in court. The legislature may authorize by law courts to revoke a person's release for a violation of a condition of release. So if you read how that is, it is all judicial, right? Except at the very end when it says that the legislature can basically by law, they can interfere if there is a violation of the person's release, so their parole or whatever you want to call it. If that violation, if they violate the conditions of their release based on the court's orders, then the legislature basically can step in because they have a little bit of power by law. Now, we have to keep in mind the three branches of government are supposed to be separate. They're not supposed to like interfere in one another's business. Now,
Okay.
obviously that doesn't happen anymore, and we're not living under our original constitutions very well. But that was the original intent, was that the three branches of government were separate. They were not equal, but they were separate powers. They had separate enumerated powers and authorities and separate jurisdictions. So, obviously at the end of that, with the legislature being able to authorize, there's a little bit of intertwining, but it was set up in such a way because it was to basically, it was to back the judicial courts, right? It was to support them, but not to interfere. Now, the way, let me pull it up real quick. What we
Okay.
have,
You're going, Sarah.
yeah.
Sarah, you're going in and out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, huh.
But there is a little bit of a twitch there every once in a while.
Yeah,
see it
I
in
can
both
hear
of
you now.
Okay, so maybe it was just that my microphone was too far away.
No,
Okay.
your screen would actually freeze up for an instant.
Okay.
Weird, because I've been seeing
Doing it
Dr.
right
Go
now.
ahead.
Yeah.
screen. Huh. That's interesting.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like yours,
So,
David, right now it did it again.
yeah, so we might just be
Okay.
having some connection
But
issues.
but even if we, but okay, so let's keep going.
Okay.
Share that last part again and keep going.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just trying to find the download for the actual oh, where did it go now? Darn it.
You're actually looking for the question itself, Sarah?
Yeah, so the referendums themselves, I've got it pulled up on my, I'm just got to find where I left it. So I had it all pulled up. Okay, my Wisconsin. There we go. All right. So on the ballot, and this is the thing that kind of ticks me off the most, is that nobody was actually informed. We didn't find out until we went to look in my vote Wisconsin, or myvote.wi.gov. We didn't find this referendum because when I first looked on the ballot, it was just the Supreme Court justice and a couple local elections. And then we went back into it on our last prayer meeting, and suddenly, oh, look, there's some referendums. So those things are actually supposed to be publicly posted, and we're supposed to be informed as a county party. We're supposed to be informed when these things get on the ballot because we're supposed to be able to inform our voters within the party. Nobody, not even our chair, had seen this.
And the
So-
more I keep sharing these very questions, the more people are confused. And then, of course, then they go to look it up and they're like, they read it forward, it didn't make sense. So they
Yeah.
start reading it backwards, it don't make sense. So then they start peeling it apart, that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then you branch out and asking other people, well, what is it? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So this was the one thing about the debate that I was a little bit concerned about. And I've actually messaged Daniel Kelly and I'm waiting on a response from him because he stated he was in support of the referendums. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, so I don't always get the legal, ins and outs of why these people support certain things and stuff. But just on a read through, and we discussed this in our county party meeting and everything, just on a read through, the language is deceptive, and two, it how do I say this? there's a restraining of the rights of the accused. I'm going to say it that way. The way that it's written. And we have to remember that in the original subheading too, it's talking about the accused. It's not talking about people who've been convicted, found guilty, right? This is their kind of pre-trial stuff. And our whole basis for the due process of law is that you are innocent until found guilty, right? And that, I mean, you could have been seen with the knife, standing over the body. You could have had, but you've not met your day in court, and so therefore there is a protection clause that allows for the accused to stand before a trial by a jury of their peers and be heard and face their accusers, right? This opens up the door to me. It opens up the door to a lot of abuse of convicted, of accused people. And I know they're talking about for violent crime, but we've had parents called domestic terrorists. Couldn't that be considered a violent crime? Right? We have January 6th people who are they've never faced trial, and yet they are being considered terrorists, which is considered a form of violent crime. They're inciting violence,
And
so
still no court date, no nothing for them people that are still
exactly.
being housed
So
there.
to me, this opens up the doors to a whole lot of abuse by the courts, especially if we get somebody into office like Janet. Now, we could say Dan Kelly will never abuse this because he understands the Constitution, and so but he's not going to be in there for forever.
Well, and that's something else that most people don't know, that it's a 10-year term.
Yeah.
It's not, here today, gone tomorrow if we don't like you.
Right.
It's 10 flipping years. So
Yeah.
something to take into consideration when voting.
Exactly.
And I was telling David before you got on, it seems to me that, like, the Democrats, they say exactly what they're thinking. And an example, I'm going to punch you directly in the face, and they're like, okay, bring it on then, I guess.
Mhm.
And then pow, and oh my God, I can't believe they did it.
Yeah.
Really? What part? They told you.
Yeah, they told you they were going to do it. So, yeah. Yeah, so these referendum questions, and like I said, I'm still waiting for a response from Dan Kelly, because I would love to get his more of like a legal backing, understanding of why he agrees that this referendum, because on reading, it's designed to protect the community from potential harm, and yet it, to me, seems to be taking away the rights of the accused.
So in regards to that question, how would you answer that?
I mean, I would vote no, honestly. So here's the first question. One was conditions of release before conviction. Shall Section 8, subheading 2 of Article 1 of the Constitution be amended to allow a court to impose on an accused person being released before conviction conditions that are designed to protect the community from serious harm? Now, the legislature, the Republican legislature, is the ones who are bringing this to the table. So I have very little respect for a lot of our Republican legislature right now. And so I'm trying to read this from an unbiased point of view. But they have done some pretty egregious things lately, and they've signed bills for some pretty egregious laws and things to be enacted, policies and stuff. And so I'm trying to read it from the idea of what freedoms are being restrained or released or allowed, I guess. And anytime we make an amendment to a constitution, we need to recall the boundary lines that have been put in place, the enumerated powers that are given, and really question, are these within the boundaries? Is this something that they have the right to do, right? So this is adding stronger language. So
So let me ask this question.
Yeah.
What about the victims?
You're talking, so you're talking about in the case of the victims being, or in the case of the accused being released and potentially harming the victims. Yeah,
Right.
and this is where it gets really, really sticky. And I'm not like one. I don't want to, I don't know. I can't come out and say you vote vote no on this, right? Because I'm still trying to really like break it down and stuff. The due process under the law, like I said, starts with innocent until proven guilty, right? They have to be able to stand before a court of law and face their accusers. And until they have been convicted, the accused has equal rights as the victim, right? Now there's what they say, reasonable conditions in order to make sure they appear in court, in order to make sure that the community is protected as best as possible. But the law, when the founders set up the Constitution, when they set up the laws and the legislature started building on the laws, the principles were not, we are going to get every single bad guy or girl in this case that ever lived, and we are going to make sure they are locked behind bars, and we're going to get every guilty person, right? That was not their intent. They knew that giving rights and freedoms, or not giving, but protecting the rights and freedoms of all human beings meant that some people were going to escape justice. But they set it up in such a way that the respect for individual rights and freedoms as given by God are one of the highest principles that stands. And if we start pushing back on that, if we start, which we already are in many cases, but if we start really allowing more and more of that to take place, and we are forgetting that our foundational principles, we're forgetting those, and we are not respecting the due process of law. And that is the hardest part for me in this, in trying to figure out, do I vote yes? Do I vote no? Because of the fact that I don't want to take the victim's story out of the picture, right? Like there has been in a violent crime, there is somebody who's been victimized, or the family of the victim, or however this, because we're talking rape, we're talking murder, those are situations where I wish every rapist got hung up by their parts. I'm trying to be nice. And slowly but surely tortured to death. I wish every murderer who had the intent to kill in his heart would face their maker the next day, but we have to be careful because that's getting into the whole idea of citizen justice, and there is a due process that has to be followed. So yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I'm really struggling with these two.
So let's move on to the second one.
Okay. Cash bail before conviction. Shall Section 8, subheading 2 of Article 1 of the Constitution be amended to allow a court to impose cash bail on a person accused of a violent crime based on the totality of the circumstances, including the accused's previous convictions for a violent crime, the probability that the accused will fail to appear, the need to protect the community from serious harm and prevent witness intimidation, and potential affirmative defenses. Okay. One of the biggest things that stands out to me in this one is that each case needs to be heard on its own. Because if we're already coming, and again, I'm not saying that somebody who has been convicted, in fact, if they were convicted of a violent crime, what are they doing out on the streets again? Like, I don't understand that. I do not understand this whole idea of we don't make them pay for their, like, there is restitution, a life for a life. That's that's where our principles came from. That's what the founding fathers desired to see. If you commit a violent crime against another person, you lose your rights, right? You no longer have, yeah, exactly. If you murder somebody, now Now, granted, there are exceptions to that because sometimes it was an unintentional murder, right? Sometimes the violence of the crime did not take, and so that's where the jury sees the facts. They go through all of the evidence, they hear the witnesses, they hear the accused side and all of those things, and the jury is supposed to make that decision. This is why you have the right to a speedy and public trial, and that's in section 5, I believe. Yeah. In section 5, you have a right to a speedy and public trial, meaning that we don't wait for weeks and months and years to finally get these people in front of it. So this is the thing. We're trying to fix problems that don't need to be fixed because we already have the laws in place that are set up to make sure that this person does not roam the streets for however long, possibly endangering other people. Their whole thing is they're supposed to get that trial right away, right? The moment you're caught, you are supposed to go before a jury of your peers, and there's supposed to be evidence presented and all of these things so that you're not dealing with these lengthy and costly trials in which nothing gets done, and then you are releasing them on conditions that they have no rational reason from their side of respecting, right? The conditions that are given by the courts. So I feel like, and I could be completely wrong, but I feel like these are all trying to fix a problem that wouldn't be there if there was a speedy trial in which they sat before a jury of their peers within how, like a very, very short period of time.
And that whole cash bail right at the heading of that
Mm-hmm.
is kind of aggravating in itself, because I seen where judges let the people out for a couple of dollars. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I don't know what crime they committed, but now let's back up to last December, I think is when Duro
Mm-hmm.
said that she was going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a week later, she let a gentleman go. He goes to flipping Illinois.
Yep.
And did what he did, assaulted a couple of his family members. Well, who says, it doesn't make sense. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You should have thought about all of that prior to committing the crime to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds more like a you problem than it is a we problem. Or
Yeah.
me.
Right. And
Yeah.
you say that the Republicans is the ones who put this on up here?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody ever come out yet and say why they put it on there?
Not
No.
that I heard.
So from Daniel Kelly's perspective, his support of it comes down to giving more. What he said was it was giving more power to the court system, the justice or the judge, to impose protections, basically impose these things on the accused in order to protect the community.
I don't see how it's protecting the community.
I mean,
Maybe
mean
I'm
the cash
missing
bail.
something.
if they can't make bail, or if they they can prevent their release back into the community while they're awaiting trial, it's yeah. And the other thing is it's what he actually specifically pulled out the idea of including the accused's previous convictions as a way of considering the conditions that are needed for release into the community. So yeah, I mean, it's just seems
go tell
very
that. Yeah, go tell that to the mother who lost her son because he walked to the gas station and the person that killed him was supposed to be behind bars.
yeah.
Go tell it to the girlfriend who was beaten almost half to death, and then he get out and he finished the job
Yeah.
on a cash bail where he shouldn't have no bail.
Yeah.
And so so my thing is what I'm trying to understand, and I'm upset by the fact that if it came from the Republican Party and nobody did a press conference, nobody said this is why. And this is why we're doing this, and we're doing it for this reason.
Yeah.
To try to,
Well, but this is the thing, Dr. King. They don't have enough time to do that. We just found out a few meetings ago that our beloved Republican legislators voted on allowing for cremated remains of humans to be used as fertilizer in farms in Wisconsin. Nobody was informed that it was
Yeah,
even going
they
through.
didn't tell.
And unless you're looking every day to see what legislation's coming up for a vote, and who has time for that? Because there's so much legislation going through all the time. And so you're just like, you're constantly behind on trying to study this. And I mean, this is why we're studying our constitutions and stuff, so that we can at least have some form of understanding of what's going on. But with all of the legislation that they just keep shoving through over and over and over again, they don't have time to inform the public, which they
Well,
I mean, that is actually constitutionally, they're supposed to inform the public of when new laws and things come in.
exactly.
into
So
play.
so my thing is, I said it once, I'll say it again. We need to do an exodus from both parties, so we the people will govern ourselves according to the contract and the covenant that we made with the Constitution. Because
Yeah.
if we don't, this is going to continue to happen. And if
Yeah.
it continue to happen, and if it continue to happen the way it's going, then we, the good people of Wisconsin, is going to be the one behind bars, because we're going to defend ourselves if somebody that just got out on a dollar bail or 50-cent bail or
Yep.
PR bond try to come in our house. I mean, then the good people of the state of Wisconsin are now going to be the villains,
Mhm.
and the villains is going to end up being the victims.
Yep.
And you look across the nation right now, and that's exactly the way it's playing out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it is. I just can't wrap my head around it. It doesn't matter the issue. They always come out as if they were the victim themselves.
Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested, Sam, to know, did you listen to, was it explained in sessions, or was it explained like, I mean, how did they bring this to the public?
What are you referring
Sorry,
to?
this note, it says, when the constitutional, can you put that back up again? Sam Hagedorn says, when the constitutional
go.
change, so this referendum was first introduced 2 sessions ago, there were explanations. Okay, in sessions and in press releases. Okay.
I did not see any of it.
No, I didn't. I mean,
No.
usually those things come down.
We
through
would have
the-
been talked about this.
Right. I mean, usually those things are supposed to come, supposedly supposed to come down through the Republican Party of Wisconsin. They're supposed to be informing people of this type of stuff. But
And we would have been had a show. You know how I found out?
Yeah.
Because people started texting me and say, "Did you know this was on the ballot?" I
Yeah.
didn't know it was going to be on the ballot.
yeah.
But and those are the things that we have to look at and say, okay, how much more are we going to allow them to do stuff to us, whether it's local, state, or even federal? How long are we going to continue to allow them to do things to us and then say, oh, well, we told y'all. When did you tell us? Oh,
Yeah.
didn't you watch the what they call it, the live stream we was doing? Who had time? Did you even let us know you was doing a live stream?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Put Stacy's question back up there for a second, David, would you?
right.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah, I'm seeing it, but
I wonder if she thinks that we're running out of dirt.
yeah, but there's a difference between the slow and natural decay of human bodies versus the cremation and bleaching and other supposedly cleaning things that they use, cleaning chemicals and compounds that they use to supposedly make it useful for agriculture. Yeah, it was, yeah, that's that's one of those things that, yes, and you're right. This stuff used to be published in the newspaper. This is where the citizens were informed, was when the media, when the news, the free press, right, would sit in on these legislative meetings, and they would write up the press release or the long version, and literally you'd have farming families reading this around the dinner table at night to see what was happening. The other thing that used to happen was that our legislators did not work full time. This was not a full-time job. They came in, they did their job, and then they went home for a while, and then they came in and they did their job, and then they went home for a while. They weren't, they were there to represent us and to make sure that the pillars of the Constitution were in place. And then they did not get paid full-time salaries. They got paid just enough to cover their role, and then they went home and they worked their fields in the summer, and they harvested in the fall. So when we have legislators who have a full-time career over this, then they have all of this time in which to get this stuff shoved through without the American people ever knowing.
But you hit on something there, Sarah, talking about printing things of that nature in the papers. We no longer have journalists; we have activists.
Exactly.
And it's unfortunate, but that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, but with the rise of the activists, we also do have resources, because the Wisconsin State governors or Wisconsin State official website, right? You can actually do a search through all of the legislation that is up for votes during the open sessions and stuff, and you can see what's been tabled, what's been killed, and all of these things. And that can help, but you have to actually take the time as an American citizen to do this.
Well, and speaking on that, I was talking to my mom today, and she says, I was telling her about the debate. Well, how did you find out about it? I said, well, doesn't everybody know? And of course they don't. People are so fed up with this nonsense that they just shy away from it, and I don't blame most people just to keep their sanity. But if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you watch too much, you're ill-informed.
Yeah.
And on we go.
Yeah.
But my problem is when the Democrats, they did not hide they was going to put marijuana on the ballot.
Oh yeah, it was talked about everywhere.
It was talked. I mean, it was literally talked about everywhere. We just had 7 shootings last night. 2 people died out of the 7 that got shot. Now, you putting something like this on the ballot to those parents. I mean, I don't know what I can't wrap my head around it. Maybe once I get a clear understanding on why they want to do it, then, but I'm looking at it for right now. You got people, the gentleman that did the Christmas parade, he had already ran over a woman, and he got out on a cash bail of $1,000 and then ride through a parade. You have a young lady who got shot in Milwaukee, and the person that shot her was out, was supposed to be in jail, supposed to be locked up. That didn't happen. You have a person who father got hit by a car that was stolen, and the person that was driving it was supposed to be in jail already. He didn't, so the father lose his life. I mean, you got a bunch of things that's going on, from low bail or no bail already. The perpetrators are not respecting law, so they get out, they go do something else, and then they go do something else, and then, I mean, what is the real purpose behind it? That's what I want to know. And if there is that I can understand it, then I'm okay. But right now I don't understand it. And right now I'm leaning to vote no, because I don't understand their intent behind it. What's the purpose behind this?
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest issue with these is if we were given a proper understanding about it, if we had a chance to take this up with them ahead of time and ask these types of questions, what is, here's the thing. Before you move a boundary line, you always have to know why it's there, right? And so when we already have this in here where it states that persons before conviction could be eligible for release under reasonable conditions, and it's the court's discretion to decide what those reasonable conditions are, right? And now we're, this new amendment, it's just the language is so sticky for me, and I'm just trying to figure out what were they trying to do by changing this. And
So
if they don't,
let me ask you on this cash bail, because maybe I know part of the answer,
Mhm.
but when the judge sets bail and he sets it at a higher bail, is it because of the flight risk?
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, it's and it could also have to do with the safety of the community. If this is like, if yeah, I mean, like I said, it's up to the discretion of the court to decide this stuff.
So the court
So,
or the judge?
the let's see, where does it say? In protect members shall be eligible for release under monetary conditions of release may be imposed at or after the initial appearance only upon a finding that there is reasonable basis to believe that the conditions are necessary. I mean, it's so I'm just trying to think, because this is before their appearance, before their conviction, not before their appearance in court. So I'm assuming it would be the judge that would impose that, because they haven't faced the jury at that point.
Right.
So that, the initial hearing or whatever, because they're the initial appearance only upon finding. So yeah, I would assume that it would be the judge who would make that discretionary decision.
So I was hoping to go live this Thursday with Eric Toney, but I don't think it's going to happen because I'm still in jail for I can now finally post on our own page at 5:48 p.m. But I cannot do any live. So, and I wish that you could be on there with him so we could bat that back and forth and kind of come to a general consensus as why it's either a yes or a definite no.
Yeah.
Because most people, as you know, they're going to go in there and they're going to look at that ballot and what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
And then do I vote? Well, I don't know if it's good or if it's not. So I'm just going to leave it as is.
Yeah.
And walk away from it.
Either that or they'll vote yes without understanding it, or they'll vote no without understanding it. So yeah, this is where, every time I read it, I come at it from a little bit of a different angle. And so it's one of those things where I'm really, really hoping for a response from Justice Kelly, because I would love to get a judge's perspective of what this does, right? And how this protects the rights of the accused, but also protects the community and all of that stuff, and doesn't impose.
Now, I like what I'm sorry. I like what Sam's saying right here. Right here. I like that. But then again, it all depends on your economic status. It all depends on a lot of different things, because let's just say they always been trying to start a racial war, right? So let's say you get a white person who kills a black person. He gets to walk home the next day after he see the judge. Now he's at home. The blacks think it's unfair, and now they want to retaliate. Or you got a black person that killed a white person, and vice versa. So I mean, so we have to look at this thing for really, because they're not people who have records, they are letting out of jail right now. that has violent crimes, and they're letting them out of jail right now. So to them, what's a violent crime now?
Yeah.
Because a person that did an armed robbery can't get his time shortened. He got to do all his time. But somebody that did a violent crime didn't even, one person I know haven't even did half his time, and they let him out. His victim get a letter 2 weeks before he was released saying we letting him out. So I'm like you. I just really want understanding, because if we don't got understanding when we go and vote, we might vote no, and then we were like, oh my God, I messed up. I should have voted yes.
Yeah.
Or we voted yes and say, oh my God, I messed up. I should have voted no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to try to get some kind of understanding on what it really going to do. Why did they really, what is their intention on doing that? And then who is it going to affect the most?
Yeah, because I mean, we come down to the third referendum, and it doesn't have to do with the amendment, but it has to do with a completely unconstitutional program. And why are we trying to reform the program instead of trying to phase it out altogether? I mean, we've got to start thinking constitutionally, because when we're answering questions like this, so the third question has to do with shall able-bodied, childless adults be required to look for work in order to receive taxpayer-funded welfare benefits? Now, knee-jerk reaction is, of course they should, right? But then you think, what does able-bodied mean? What does childless mean? Most people who are on the welfare program continue to have children in order to stay on the welfare program, right? So there's this, so we're just picking out a very, very small section of the population and then trying to make a requirement for something. Well, then we're talking about we're interfering in their private life. So that's a constitutional violation, right? What is the government shouldn't be monitoring them, to see whether or not they're working or not. But then you're going into the idea of the welfare program being unconstitutional to begin with. So why do we have the government offering our taxpayer dollars to others at the end of a gun? We have legal plunder going on, and the Republicans instead are like, oh no, let's just make them work for it. They should be working for it anyway. Not my money, theirs.
And something, I believe that COVID is a big factor as to why things are the way they are right now.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people that kept milking that system until they could not get no more. Well, we'll try a different avenue then, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one don't work. I've never seen a generation that, holy shit, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Big
I mean,
trouble.
right in Jackson County, we're already dealing with the COVID benefits that came down from the higher ups or whatever, they basically were offering the welfare program at double and triple the rates to cover, the COVID crisis. Well, it's stopping. Like, the program is stopping. So these people are going from full maximum benefits to the bare minimum again. And there's no in between, and they're supposed to, I mean, they've been supposedly warned, but there's these people have grown totally dependent on the government. They've had their lights and water, bills paid for. They've had their groceries paid for. They've had all of this stuff because COVID. And now all of a sudden that's going away. Well, what crisis, what big crisis are we creating there? Because we've just created a bunch of dependents, many more dependents. And now we're just setting them loose without phasing it out or saying, hey, it blows my mind that we're doing this, and we are using the hardworking taxpayer dollars to fund these types of programs, because the government was never meant to meet every one of our needs. That was not their point.
Well, and on to piggyback onto what you said, it's funny that we do that. We have these great big signs in every one of our national parks, and it says, do not feed the damn bear. What? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the worst that could happen? Right.
Yeah.
So we acknowledge that part, but when it comes to the bleeding hearts, it's insane. Yeah. There's a group of Amish by Cashton where I live. And when the government started handing out this money, mm-hmm. They gave it every red cent of it back and said, we do not want it.
Yep.
So my hat's off to them for just that.
Yeah. I mean, the principles of the multiple levels of government were that you were supposed to, the needs of the people were supposed to be met at the lowest level of government that was possible. Sometimes that means self-government, right? I'm going to work for my living. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to, keep my property, taken care of and maintained. All of these things are self-governing types of things. I'm going to make sure there's food on the table, those types of things. And then you slowly work your way up the levels for the things that only those higher levels can possibly accomplish, right? So that means that by the time you get to the federal government, the only thing that is left for them or should be left for them is the protection and preservation of our borders and the protection and preservation of our God-given rights. Not necessarily in that order, but what I'm saying is that is the only thing that they have any ability to do that no other level of government can do well. And yet here we are handing over our money, our hard-earned money, directly to them and saying, oh yeah, you do whatever you need to do to take care of us and basically be our God, right? And then we get angry when we find out that, there's money going over to Ukraine and there's money going over to Pakistan to, for women's liberation program. I mean, it is just so absolutely overwhelming how much control they have swiped from us, and like, we need to be pulling back, we need to be pulling this stuff back. So
Well, I mean, and you're right. When you allow the government to take control of your livelihood and everything else, you not only are you crippling you, but you're crippling a next generation. And we've seen that with isn't bullying. No, I was reading Stacy. But you've seen that, but generations on top of generations where they got handicapped. They got to the place where they couldn't see or do things prior, because why get up and go work if I can sit here? They paying my rent, they giving me food, and they giving me a check.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm trying to see. Well, he's watching from LinkedIn now. My main page on Facebook, it dropped, but
I'm still getting.
Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin is still up and running, so we still.
Did I get you kicked off, David?
Maybe it was me.
Probably did. But I can fix it. I mean, Sarah already had me suspended on YouTube already, because she showed the video that came from YouTube, and they suspended us.
Explain the context.
There you go.
And so now I'm trying to put it back on. Y'all got to pray for me. I need to set up a GoFundMe page. My MacBook, I think, died. So my MacBook died. So I think that I need to go get another one.
It wasn't my fault. All I did was show, like, it was about biblical citizenship, and it was reading the Constitution. That was it.
Way to go, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently the Constitution's this dangerous thing we can't show people.
We were showing the Sixth Amendment.
It was the Sixth Amendment. Don't use GoFundMe. Use Give, Send, Go. That's a Christian based one, so they can't take your money back.
Okay. So everybody, listen up. I need you guys to help me get another MacBook. No, I have one in a minute.
All right.
As
So
soon as I came back from,
as far as the referendum questions, my biggest piece of advice at this point is read them well. See if you can get a hold of Daniel Kelly or some of the legislators and figure out what this wording is, why it's being suggested, and all of those things, and then make an informed decision. Whether you vote yes or no, at least do it being informed, and do it knowing that what we don't often see is Frederick Bastiat says that there are the things that are seen, and that's usually where the legislatures work, is they work in the things that are seen. So we see a problem, we fix it. We see a problem, we fix it, right? What they miss is the things that are unseen. What are the consequences of fixing the problem in this way? What are the consequences 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road if we amend this part of the Constitution, right? What are the things that we can't see right now that we're making decisions on that are going to affect future generations, right? And if we don't understand that, then it's not so much whether you vote yes or no on this. It's understand what decision you are making, because those consequences are going to impact future generations, right? And
Well
so
said, Sarah.
yeah, that's my big thing, is whether you vote yes or no, do it informed and do it with the understanding that you will be bearing, your future generations will be bearing the consequences of it. So yeah.
Well, that said,
well,
my supper is ready, and I think you two did a pretty good job again, no doubt about it. So
Well, thank you for joining us. It's good to see you.
yeah, likewise. So you all have a good night, and I'm out.
All right, we'll see ya.
before you go, I got something to say to you, sir.
Oh boy.
I'm about to come grocery shopping at Joe's house.
What are you coming up here for?
I'm coming to grocery shop. You got everything, so I'm not going to the store. I'm coming to your house.
We are prepared for what's next.
Nice.
How's that?
I'll stay at the end of the road and send you a text and say, "Hey,
There
I'm
you
down
go.
here."
You're gonna play it safe.
Yes, but you have a great night, sir.
Yeah, you too.
See you
Okay.
later, Jared.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So
Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay on much longer.
me neither.
Growing a baby is hard.
I would know nothing about it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
there
know
it
when
goes.
when they talk about, men can get pregnant too or whatever, it's just like, yeah, okay.
I'll
Yeah,
be
good
like,
luck
I
with that.
don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to know about being pregnant. I don't want to feel the pregnancy. I don't want to deal with morning sickness, and definitely don't want to deal with contractions.
Oh, that's
I-
the easy part. It's the pregnancy part that's the hard part.
Now,
It's so funny. In my first ever, like, they have the pregnancy classes and stuff for new parents. And the first class, they said, "What's your favorite part about pregnancy so far?" And keep in mind, this is my first baby. I'd never had a baby before. I said, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I am going to so enjoy the labor and delivery part, because pain I can handle. It's the pregnancy stuff, the aches and like with Bella, I felt like I was 90 years old and, just waddling around, and it was horrible. But yeah, I'm definitely healthier than I was back then, and so I'm handling pregnancy a little bit better. But I am a Amazon woman when it comes to the labor and delivery part.
so are you gonna have it in water?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The only one I didn't do that for was Kenna, and that was because she decided she was coming 6 weeks early, and they didn't let me. But yeah.
No, I can send Rosie because she's a doula.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have all the help you need up there.
Sounds good.
So what do you think? I mean, what do you think that, oh, everybody's saying congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm not doing any more uh dry hump series because population might go.
You know, Amber and I will definitely thank you for that. So go right ahead. You can stop.
I know, right? And so what do you, I know we're not gonna stay on longer, just a little longer, not
Mhm.
long, but a little longer. So what do you think? How do we um I like what Sam said here. Let me put it
Mhm.
back up.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
I'm
could be,
very impressed with Sam's information because it's definitely very helpful for me. We should have
well, Sam
we should
had
have Sam on.
Sam, I know. Sam, you should come on, Sam.
Which one are you looking at? The one about, let's see.
The one that made me breathe a little better. Where is it? Hold on. See, I'm remodeling, so I got my monitor on another desk because I want to connect some cameras to it and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I've I've got it on here, but I don't know if we can post it from here.
um, when the one that made me breathe. I'm trying to find the one that made me breathe.
You mean you weren't breathing before?
I was furious. And the reason I was furious because of the fact that I didn't came out. I didn't like the way um where is it,
So is it the
Sam?
one about right now bail can only be assessed to ensure the accused comes to court? The constitutional change allows judges to include past history of the accused? Or
No. Did he take it down?
I'm looking
Oh,
at the
here it
other
is.
one. Oh, that's
That one.
that was dealing with the third referendum. That was dealing with that was
Oh, that's
dealing
only
with
the third. That's not dealing.
so he said that right after I talked about the third referendum about the able-bodied childless adults working to get their taxpayer funded welfare benefits.
Oh, that's just that one. That's not the
Yeah,
first two.
I'm pretty sure that was what he was talking about. Because I think because this one can't be really, and I mean there's a whole lot of like how do you enforce something like this, right? And so with the other ones that they were actual amendments, the third one wasn't an amendment. It was just a, by the way, do you think that this should, this should happen, that these people who are able-bodied and childless should have to work for their yeah. So
Right. So I'm just like, okay, which one is it? Because
yeah.
you know, I get furious when I see stuff that's being done that is Oh wait, let me see. Okay, let me go to this one. Oh, okay, that's Sam speaking now. He
Oh,
went to the.
and thank you all for the congratulations. Our family is very excited. My 5-year-old is already wanting to name the child Lilac. I'm not sure why. But
Lilac.
yeah, and the older kids are searching through the baby name books already and talking about who gets to hold them first, and so so yeah, it's pretty
Oh
fun.
wow.
Yeah.
So who's going to give him the First Amendment? Which one of them?
You know what? I'm it's just going to be up for grabs. It's going to be a free for all. I'll let him just start talking.
Okay,
When
let's
when
see.
does your I'm due actually funny enough, I'm due around Thanksgiving, so Kenna might actually get to share a birthday with her siblings. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. When does your commune open? Oh, Stacy, you can come up anytime and hang out with us and hold babies. So I'm totally cool with that. Come on over. We'll have tea or coffee or whatever you want. And definitely.
So when we look at the first two, and we can wrap it with the first two. When we look at the first two, right?
Yep.
To be honest, I'm gonna call Sam too and talk with Sam, because Sam, I get emotional when I see people trying to pimp us. And
oh, we've got extra beds. We got guest beds. I've got a 5+ bedroom house. So talks and let the baby exercise. There you go.
Oh, that's Terrence.
We'll get him. We'll get him his first pew pew machine and all that fun stuff. Although I'm cool with whatever God brings us, but I'm kind of hoping for a girl because we've already got 3 boys, and so I'd love to have another girl.
But I'm cool with whatever he brings us.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean we're just like, bring on the joy and bring on the children, and we're raising little freedom fighters. So
I know, right?
Oh, speaking of which, at the debate, so we're, oh, how did he word it? So my 8-year-old, we're walking to the debate, and my 8-year-old is asking questions about who's running for Supreme Court and everything. And I was explaining that Janet believes that the Constitution is a living, breathing document that she wants to change. And Jace looks at me and he goes, "But how is it living and breathing if she kills it?" I'm like, "You rock."
Now that right there is something all by itself.
Oh, totally. My kids are brilliant.
Oh no, that was 10.
Yeah.
So I really don't know which way to tell somebody to vote on that. I'm gonna be honest, because I might have to flip a coin: heads, yes; tails, no.
And then pray that God allows it to be used for the good, whatever it is.
Because again, it's not where it's clear, it's cut dry.
Yeah.
And so, I still need. I'm gonna go to. He said West Politics. I'm gonna go to West Politics.
Yeah.
And see what it says. Vicky McKenna said yes to all. Well, thank God I have my own brain. I'm gonna look it up for myself.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know who's saying that. That gotta. Oh, really? Oh, I know who that is now. Really? Okay. You're gonna. Okay. I know. You know who said that too, right?
Who said it?
Sam.
Oh, okay. So Sam
done did a lot of homework. If he's saying that, he's did a lot of homework.
Yeah. So Sam needs to get on here and break it down for us, because yeah.
Okay, Sam, can I send you the link and you can come on for a few minutes and break it down? See what he says. Because we just want clarity. We want to help the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want clarity to what is really, you got some patriots are saying vote no, some saying vote yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Oh, All right. You wanna call in? You can call in and break it down. Terry said, Pastor Moore said he want to hear what you have to say too. So Sam, you can call in. Let me Sarah talk while I get the call in ready.
Okay. I'm not entirely certain what to say. Just yeah, just I don't know. I mean, whoever watched the debates, I mean, definitely what did you think? I mean, what was your initial impression of, Janet's stuff, of Dan Kelly's speaking? Um I can say I was very impressed with Dan Kelly. And I always have been. I mean, he and I have gotten into conversations about, the founding fathers and the people that they referenced in their building of the Constitution and all of that stuff. And he's not only that, but he's just got a heart for God, and he's got a respect for the sanctity of life. And all of those things are important. Now, he talks about, we don't bring politics into the judiciary, and that's true. But our values, our principles, the things that our worldview stands on, definitely have an impact on how we look at the rule of law. And if we don't value human life, then that can definitely change how we read the law, how we offer our opinions on it, and what we consider to be constitutional or not, or changeable by whims. And so yeah, it's an interesting concept. But I definitely think he has a lot of wisdom, and I think he will definitely be an excellent person to sit on the Supreme Court.
Sam, call my number, Sam. Call my number. I got my phone set up. So just call in on my phone number. And Stacy, I'll put on a brewer soon, but right now, still a nation, baby. Still a nation. So Sam, just call my phone and it'll bring you on. Pastor Moore, while we're waiting on Sam, I got some words for you. You don't even know a black man no more. So you need to call me mister. And
I had to laugh at the debate when there was a point in it where Daniel Kelly was mentioning something about I think it was the redistricting stuff, and how he was sticking to the legal side of things and leaving the politics to the legislation. And I laughed so hard when Janet says, "But that's just not fair." It's like, what are we, two?
hello, sir. Sam, are you there? Wait a minute. Hold tight. I gotta make sure this is plugged in. That's in. That's in. That's in. Say something, Sam. Let's see. Call him. I'll call him. But I want to see it. Okay, let's see. Hello? Let's see. Hold on. Hello? Oh, don't hang up. Oh, he hung up. Don't hang up, Sam. I'm just connecting the Bluetooth. Make sure we're connected.
Bluetooth connected.
Okay. Sam? Wait. Hold on. Say something now, Sam. Okay, why it's not? Wait a minute. I got the Bluetooth connected. Say something now, Sam. Okay, wait a minute. What you say now?
Calling David King.
Oh, calling it. Okay, now I can hear you on speaker, but I can't hear.
Okay, now I can hear you. I can hear you. Well, I can hear you a little bit.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this way. Say something.
Calling David King.
Okay, can you hear him, Sarah?
Yeah.
Calling David King.
Yep, I can hear.
Okay, we can. You go ahead.
David King.
Yep, I can hear. It's
go ahead.
echoey though.
Yep, I can hear.
Oh, whatever you watching on, Sam, you got to turn it down.
Okay, I've got it down.
Okay. Now we're all ears.
Well, basically, right now, bail, judges can only give bail based on whether or not they think that the accused will come to court. That's
Okay.
all they can base it on, nothing else. So it doesn't matter what crime they committed or anything else. Okay?
Okay.
Is that understood? Do you understand that part?
Yep.
What the constitutional amendment will do, it will untie the judge's hands and allow them to give higher bail to the more violent criminals so they won't be put out back on the streets.
Okay.
So to me, it's a very simple solution to a problem, especially here in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, there's not much more to say. I mean, it's that simple.
so go ahead, Sarah.
No, go ahead. You can. I'm
No.
thinking my question. So
Okay. So what you're saying is that it gives the judge, it unties the judge's hands so that the low bill that they've been giving based on what they say, or how they've been conducting themselves, right?
Well, no, the bail they give now, again, let's say I were to commit a crime and the judge would look at me and say, I can't look at the crime you committed, but I think that you're going to show up in court in 3 weeks. So your bail is set at $500. That's how they have to do it. They
Okay.
can't say you killed somebody and we're going to give you, a $500,000 bail. They're not
Okay.
allowed to do that right now. With the constitutional change, they'll be able to look at the crime, the history of the criminal, and say, you're pretty much of a scoundrel. We don't think that you should be out on the street. We're going to give you a high bail so that you just can't walk out of here. Again,
So
the
it
person
opens
will
up.
still have all the same rights. They'll just be in jail waiting for those rights to be carried out.
So it basically it opens up more discretionary power for the judge. Then is what you're saying.
Okay, I got to put Sarah. I got to turn this up because I can't hear Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah. Let me put Sarah. I got to turn this up because I can't hear Sarah. Okay.
Okay. So.
go ahead. Sarah, I got to turn this up because I can't hear Sarah. Okay.
Oof, that's horrible. Okay, so my question was, is it basically is what it's doing is opening up discretionary power for the judge in order to make decisions, that the court, the legislature isn't tying their hands is what I'm hearing.
The legislature isn't tying their hands is what I'm hearing.
That's correct. The legislature is untying their hands
Okay.
on this. So they're telling the judge, you can look at the past history of the criminal, you can look at the crime that they've committed, and you can use that to be to set the bail for the person accused of the crime. And that's all it comes down to.
Okay. So then, what you're saying?
And there will not be equity because there is no such thing as equality on this whole thing. Because every judge will do it a little bit different.
Oh, okay. So then what you're saying is like all those people that's out right now. And what you're saying is like all those people that's out right now would not be out, right? Out, right?
Well, I don't think they can go back and retroactively do this. It would be from when this is passed, from then on forward.
No.
Because they can't do ex post facto laws, but that's not what you're talking about.
Crime, decide that they shouldn't be on the street.
Right. No. I'm not saying that.
Decide that they shouldn't be on the street.
Right. No. I'm not saying that. Oh, that's Sam's thing.
Yeah.
No.
So what you were saying is that the people that if this amendment had been in place, the criminals who are now out on the streets because of Governor Evers and his DA, they would still be in prison at this point.
Right.
They would be in prison waiting for trial. Yes.
Okay.
In prison waiting for trial.
Okay. I can go with that.
Okay. I mean, that makes a little bit more sense.
I can go with that.
Who is the other Facebook user that keeps talking? It says that said, let's see, the judges can't do this at their own discretion. It must be okay. So I don't necessarily agree with that because each case has to be tried on its own merits. And not every case is equal in the sense. So they all have due process under the law. They have the right to trial by jury. They have the right to have to face their accusers and all of those things. But when we're talking about the judges having the discretion to make a decision based on the accused, their history, all of the different factors in that particular case, that part doesn't have to be equal across the board, because there could be somebody who committed a murder accidentally that the judge can say, oh, I don't think you're going to be a danger to society, so I will release you on a lower bail while you await your trial, right? And then there might be a repeat offender who continues to go out and commit crimes that the judge can look at and go, oh, yeah, you are definitely a danger to society. I'm going to increase bail. Am I saying that correct, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no question. That's exactly how it would work.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm glad you cleared that up for me so I can tell people to vote yes.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that out. Because I definitely needed some. I was kind of twirling my fingers trying to figure out what I needed to do.
Yeah, well, I've been looking at this for over a year. So I've done a fair amount of studying. I don't generally talk to my son about these things in case anybody's wondering. To get special insight on how these laws will impact. And again, they'll have virtually zero impact as far as the Supreme Court goes. Because the Supreme Court doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Right. And the beauty of it is that I just want to inform people of the right decision, because when you really look at it, and you're looking at it from a victim standpoint, now the way you broke it down, it's great for victims. They ain't got to worry about them, so we have to, these are the things that we need a lot of Sarahs out here, and we need a lot of Sams out here, because when I know who to go to. I am not ashamed to call Sam and say, Sam, this is what I saw, this is what I'm thinking. I know Sam is watching. He's watching. When you say watching a monitor and watching those live streams and seeing what they're really doing to us, I know Sam is watching. When it comes to crossing that Constitution, I know you watching. Just beating people up, I know I'm watching. So, I mean, it takes all of us to be able to be to be there for the community. This is why how the community grow. We all go, and the Bible even tell us. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, but therefore get wisdom. But with all thy getting, get understanding. And this is what this is why I'm so glad we did think about it Tuesday like this, that we get the understanding of what it really means, what they're really saying, and and so
can I
sorry,
can I speak to this this, I don't know who this Facebook user is. The one who said there will be a lot of implicit bias in place if someone's discretion is in place. Okay. So implicit bias, we're going to define that for a minute. It says implicit bias is a prejudice that is present but not consciously held or recognized. Okay. We cannot judge somebody's unconscious thoughts. We cannot judge what's going on in their head, and I mean, I've heard so many people talk about implicit bias. I have an implicit you have an implicit bias against white people or against black people or whatever. And there is a lot going under. That's why God says that he judges the heart, right? Because those types of things that take place under the surface, human beings cannot judge. When we're talking about the rule of law, the discretionary power that the judge has in this case with this amendment is to look at the facts of what's going on, look at the past criminal history of this person, of this accused person, and make a discretionary judgment for bail based on what the judge knows. Now, are there judges who have unintentional biases or prejudices against certain people? Yes, of course. We are human beings. We all have unintentional prejudices against other people. But the point is that the judge is not there saying you are guilty, or that waits for the court or anything. This is saying, this is what I know about this person who's standing before me right now for his or her initial hearing. These are the past cases that I see on his record or her record, and that's what I'm going to make my decision on when I set this person's bail, right? There may be some sort of unintentional bias that's put into place, and this is always the risk that we take when we put people in governmental positions over us to give the rule of law. We have legislators who have implicit, you can call it implicit bias or whatever, but the point of the law is that all of us are equal under it, and therefore we are all supposed to be judged by the same standard, right? And so the same standard when we're talking about the actual cases that come before the court. So somebody who has been a repeat offender is going to be held by the same standard of law, or should be held by the same standard of law as somebody who's the first offender. But somebody who's a repeat offender is going to be held to that standard in a different way than somebody who is a first offender. Does that make sense? Like, how can I word this in such a way that it the judge in the case has only the facts that are laid out before him. And so when he is trying to make a decision about whether to set bail and how much to set bail to allow for the release of an accused person back into the public, he has to look at just the facts of his case. He doesn't look at the color of his skin. He doesn't look at the color, the gender. He looks at what he sees before him that are under legal consideration, and then says, okay, this is how I'm going to set your bail, right? So if there is a judge who is setting bail based on the color of somebody's skin, yeah, that's bias, that's prejudice, and that's illegal, and that's unconstitutional, and it is so wrong on so many levels. But you aren't going to stop that with you're not going to stop that part unless you have a moral and virtuous society, right? That's a moral issue as opposed to a legal issue. And I know that was a long drawn out explanation and stuff, but
okay.
Anyway.
Sam and Sarah, do y'all want to address this one that J-Rod is talking?
Okay, so the current law that we have right now, let me read it out again.
Okay, so the current law that we have right now.
Give me a second. It says, oh, for the love. It doesn't say that, but it says, all persons before conviction shall be eligible for release under reasonable conditions designed to assure their appearance in court, protect members of the community from serious bodily harm, or prevent the intimidation of witnesses. Monetary conditions of release may be imposed at or after the initial appearance only upon a finding that there's a reasonable basis to believe that the conditions are necessary to assure appearance in court. The legislature may authorize by law courts to revoke a person's release for a violation of a condition of release. So thank you, Stacy. I'm not sure I would be able to sit on the court. So yeah. So what changes now is they're opening up the discretion to more than just, is this person going to show up at their court date? I guess. I mean, that's the short version.
Okay, Sam, you want to add on to that?
No, that's pretty much the case where, again, it just gives the judges opportunity. Just gives the judges opportunity.
Okay, so let me just look at it.
So if the so what you're saying here is if a black man and a white man commit the same stinking crime, then then the judge should have the same discretion over what kind of bail they're given. But we're talking about like a repeat offender versus a first time offender. I mean, that's where we're getting into the differences here. They have discretion based on past case history, not based on the color of their skin. It doesn't say anywhere in there that the judge has any right to make a decision based on the color of their skin. What it's saying is that based on the person's past criminal history, if they've committed violent crimes in the past before, whether they're black or white, they're going to probably be more liable to commit violent crimes in the future, right? And so they're basing bail on that, not on whether it's a black man or a white man. That has nothing to do with this amendment.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes left.
No, okay, so he's talking about sentencing. Okay, this has nothing to do with sentencing. This is the accused who has not even sat before a trial by jury of his peers. So
haven't been convicted yet either.
Right, he's not been convicted of this particular crime. So this has nothing to do with them sitting down and being sentenced. This has to do with what happens before they reach that trial period. And how is the judge going to handle them while this person is awaiting their trial for conviction or for release, depending on, whether they're found guilty or not. I wish we knew. Wait, say that again? Rustin, we're talking about how the justice system is supposed to work, not how certain judges have racial prejudice against people. Like, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Let me address that one, because the thing about it is, a lot of times when we become a victim to something, we're not thinking on the level of the system, how the system play. We're going off of our pain. We're going off of what we went through. We're going off of and everything now is based off of what I experienced myself. And so when we look at it, we can't say the whole system is wrong. It's just who's in charge and making those decisions at the time. You can have one judge that says, you know what, everybody come to me today gonna get 25 years or better, and bam, he does it. And you have another judge come out right behind him and say, you know what, I ain't gonna do that. I'm going to give them a second chance. I'm looking at them at a different level. So we can't look at every judge in the system the right. The same, and based off of when I was dealing. I give an example. When I was dealing with family court, I knew the court commissioners couldn't do nothing with me. So I just tell them anything, tell them be quiet, leave me alone and everything. And then they'll say, okay, we're sending you to the judge. Now I know the judge got some power. So now I'm gonna go in there and talk with some sense and be like, okay, whatever you say, but I do want to share, my thoughts on how I feel about this case, and let me present my case. And the judge said, okay, present your case. Now, every judge doesn't rule on the side of the woman like every court commissioner rules on the side of the woman. The judge will hear the whole thing out. So you can't base everything off of just one experience and say everything is corrupt, because if that's the case, we in trouble.
Well, and I'm not going to disagree that our justice system sucks right now. But what I am going to say is that the problem is not the justice system itself, because the system itself is set up for due process. But it's the fact that we are an immoral society. We are lacking in virtues and a moral standard, and therefore the people within the system are abusing it. And equitable, I really have a hard time with that word, because we're not looking for an equal outcome. We are looking for equal opportunity. So due process under the law does not mean everybody has an equal outcome under the law. It means we have an equal opportunity to be represented under the law. There are people who've gone through the court systems who've experienced justice. So, we have to look at, is the system itself what is wrong, or is it the people who are abusing that system? Yeah. And the one thing that we have to take into consideration, because we're talking about the legal aspect of it, and I know I'm kind of like a dog with a bone with this, but one thing we have to take into consideration is that until we have a return to a moral standard, until we have a return to virtue and to the principles that our country was founded on, to the biblical principles of our biblical constitution, these problems are going to continue happening no matter how well we create a justice system. The problem is a heart problem. It is not a system problem.
See, that's opening up a whole new can of worms that's not dealing with the referendum.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would, okay, it's both, but
I don't know if we want to reduce the people fact. I guess I'm not understanding that. The people are the main factor. So if we the people are dealing with the heart issues and dealing with the moral standard issues, then these these systems will work the way they're supposed to.
But that's why we need to educate ourselves and get to the polls.
Mhm.
Because if we know it's corrupt, if we know it's wrong, if we know they have a heart issue, if we know that they are leading one way toward the other, and we allow them to sit on those benches, we
Yeah.
allow them to continue to make laws. We
Yep.
notice that key word, we.
Yeah.
We allow.
Think about how egregious this is right now. We have in our law system, we have do not murder. We have that written into our system, and yet we have a judge who is sitting as a candidate for the Supreme Court, who has literally come out and stated that she is not only okay with, but she is fully condoning and supporting the murder of the unborn. The unborn are human just like the rest of us. They have the same due process under law. Just because they can't speak for themselves does not make them unable to have those same rights. And yet we are literally possibly going to be voting in a justice who is condoning the murder of human beings. We really need to be thinking about this from a heart issue, because that's where justice rests, is with the heart of the matter. We have a God who is just, and he's not going to, I mean, I'm going to repeat Thomas Jefferson. I tremble for my country when I remember that God is just. We don't have a full understanding of what God's justice is, because right now we are towing the line. We are murdering children in the womb, and we are allowing judges to sit on the court who will actively vote for that, who will actively legislate from the bench to keep the murder of the unborn as a law in this country. And we're worried about supposed systemic issues that, I mean, there are issues all through our country, and they are heart issues. And until we address the heart issues, and until we start voting for people who understand the heart issues, we're going to continue to see God's judgment fall on our nation. And I don't, yeah. Well, I mean, a broken clock could be right 2 times a day.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Hold on. Papa to be. I gotta put him up here.
Yeah. No, they have a 10-year term. I should say there is legislation in our constitution that deals with impeachment based on basically on misbehavior. But there is a 10-year term for the justices, so it works differently in Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's one of the very few states where we actually elect our judiciary, which is really a bad idea anyway.
But
How can we not address systemic issues? Okay, I'm saying the only way you can address systemic issues is by dealing with the heart issues. Like, if you can't address this, like, you can't address people abusing systems that are set in place for justice to take place if you're not dealing with their heart issue. Like, that, I'm not saying we don't address systemic issues, but you're like, what systemic issues are you talking about? Because I hear a lot of people say systemic issues. Well, that's a very broad term, and it doesn't really explain a whole lot. I mean, we're talking about heart issues, and that takes place in the self-governance of the people. What?
okay. I don't know. But what
I don't.
but what we gonna do? What we gonna do? Is I'm just throwing a couple up. Captain of the Dry Hump.
Dude.
Okay, this is the last one we gonna put up, and we gotta let the mama to be rest. she got to get her rest and everything. So we're going to let's see. Okay, no, we're not gonna. Okay, see, I know where we're getting ready to go. Okay, I like y'all trying to start some stuff. Look, we say
Okay, but okay, so I'm aware of people talking about specific systemic issues. I'm just not sure I agree with I mean, I'm asking you for specific systemic issues. If you want to talk about systemic issues, then bring up specifics, not just a general systemic issues. What does that even mean? Yeah, I'm okay with not always agreeing with people. I'm just trying to like define the terms because I can't talk to a generalized statement. I have to be able to have a specific issue that's being raised. And yeah.
okay. So here's what we got to do because again, okay. See, I was waiting on it.
Yeah, that is a systemic issue, Stacy. We got to continue that argument for sure.
Sam, is you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, you first. You're gonna go first. You're gonna go for. Oh, you're gonna go first, and you're gonna give us your 2-minute spiel on the referendum, and if you got a favorite scripture or something you want to quote, you can quote that as well as we give our closing remarks. So we're gonna start with you, Sam, and here you go. Go right ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, the question for Stacy is definitely pumpkin.
Woo!
And again, the referendum is very clear and very simple. Is that if you think that criminals should be allowed on the streets with low bail, then vote no. If you want them to be held responsible for all of their actions, then you vote yes and give the judges the opportunity to set a high bail. And as far as the scripture, Acts 17:11, where it just says, you know, the Bereans were held in high esteem because they studied and didn't take what we say on face value. So before you argue, do some homework and ask a second or third question on what you believe is right and wrong, and you should come up with the correct answer.
All
You
righty.
should come up with the correct answer.
That is awesome. And I like the way he put that. So now we're going to turn it over to the constitutional queen and let her give her 2-minute remarks and quote, because I already know she got the quote ready.
I wish I did. I'm trying to pick between a couple of them, but I'm reading a book. Another one. And one of the things they talk about is the foundations of freedom in America. And they did basically a statistical analysis of the top sources that the founding fathers used when they were writing the Constitution, when they were speaking about the Constitution, when they were talking about freedom, when they were talking about principles and everything. And surprise, surprise, the Bible was 34% of their references and resources came from the scriptures. And then I think the next one in the line was like, oh gosh, it was far and away below that. Montesquieu was the other one, and that was like 9% of their references made were based on Montesquieu. So I mean 34%, that's a huge number. And so when we're talking about these freedom principles, when we're talking about going through the Constitution and amending it and all of this stuff, we have to take into account that the founding fathers had a very vastly different idea of freedom than most Americans do today. And in order to restore America to its constitutional principles, we have to take it back to what the founders originally intended and what they originally thought about freedom. So I'm going to just read this from this book. It's called The U.S. Constitution and the 196 Indispensable Principles of Freedom. And he says, whatever one's beliefs about religion, it is a historical fact that the American founders used the Bible as a central text in education, religion, family, and life. More, they used it as the central teacher on freedom and the principles of liberty. They referred to it more than any other source when speaking on political topics. Now, most American Christians today will look at the Bible and say it's not a political book. God doesn't deal with politics. He deals with religion and the kingdom. That is so not true. And the founding fathers understood that. And if you want America back, start studying your Bible the way that the founding fathers did it. Start studying your Constitution. Start studying the state constitution the way the founding fathers would have studied it, and pulling out the meaning and the intent of freedom and the principles behind it and everything. And that will give, hopefully, wisdom and discernment, even when we get questions wrong, right? Like these referendums where there's a lot of confusion and we needed explanations. Even when we get questions like that wrong, we are still trying and seeking the truth based on the original principles that the founders and that the people who grew America to be what it was supposed to be, that's what that is what they reference the most. And so, yeah, I'm gonna leave it with that.
Well, okay. I'm going to wait a minute, let me do this.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Okay. I'm coming with my scripture first, and that's Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 and 7. Lean not, and I'm reading out an amplified version of it. It says, lean on, trust in, and be confident in the Lord with all your heart and mind, and do not rely on your own insight or understanding. In all your ways, recognize and acknowledge him, and he will direct and make straight the plain your path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Reverence, fear, and worship the Lord, and turn entirely away from evil. And when we're talking about election and everything, if anybody really, like you said, Sarah, will study the Bible, they'll realize that God put them here to be a political force, because you're an ambassador. You're a political force for God on earth to make sure that the world system is governed by the people of God who has God heart. And so, when you separate God from politics, this is what you get. When you separate God from education, this is what you get. When you separate God from family, this is what you get. So to each and every one of us, we need to go back to the manufacturer, the one who created us, the one who sent us to earth to do his bidding on earth. And so I'm glad that Sam broke that down, because understanding is very, very important. So I'm going to say, just like Sam said, if you want criminals to do a crime and get low bail, that you could continue to complain and worry about them being on the streets, then vote no. But if you want to see the judge's hands untied and those criminals is taken off the streets based off of their record, based off of the crime, and based off their record already, then vote yes and untie the judge's hands. Because that's one of the biggest problems that we're crying about right now. How did this person get back on the street? How did that person get back on the street? The court system is like a revolving door. Okay, well, here's our chance to fix it. So on April 4th, vote yes. If you don't want that, vote no. Every man must give an account for his own actions. As Sarah would say, personal responsibility.
Mhm.
So we thank J-Rod for being on. We thank Sam for being on and Sarah for being on. Think About It Tuesday. The Constitutional Queen, AK Mama to be. I am happy for you and Jake. And Jake, tell Jake his new name. And I think he's still watching because he's on YouTube watching. Jake,
Yeah.
I got a new name for you. Your new name is Captain Dry Hump.
Oh Lord. Oh my gosh.
But you know what, Sarah?
What?
Now your mother probably understand what we was talking about.
Yeah, probably.
But
Probably.
no, but we think that they're adding to their family number 6,
Mm-hmm.
another freedom fighter, another scholar for the Constitution, another one that is going to stand up for the rights of people and for God. So I'm excited for you guys, and you need to have one. You need to have that'll be 6.
Yeah.
9 more. You'll catch me and Rosie.
Oh, good Lord. I bet you she started earlier than me.
So we just want to thank everybody for watching, and you know, this is why we do Think About It Tuesday, to get everybody thinking, get your mind pumping. Pastor Moore, thank you for coming on and starting a debate. You know, we love you. But you and I gonna have another debate. You ain't called me in a while, so I'm telling your wife on you. I'm just letting you know. I'm calling Dr. Cheryl. So, but we thank everybody for being with us and watching us. Watch us. No, we're not doing Saturday. Are we doing Saturday?
Well, no, actually, I'm going to be gone all day for that.
Okay, so we won't be doing
for our 3rd district caucus. So
okay, so we won't be doing a class on Saturday, but we will do a class later this week, maybe Sunday night. We don't know yet, but right now I see that these classes is very important, and so many people need to know the Constitution for themselves. So we are not going away from now. We're not going away until she go into labor, but we're gonna definitely do what we got to do to make everything right by everybody. So we love you guys until, wait, let me make sure I set this up right. So we love you guys until next week. We say God bless and goodbye.